ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
Elmore deep, left side, Bryant, good! From 30 feet, John Elmore!
The Drive with Paul Swann.
Good Thursday evening. Spanky Rogers filling in for Paul Swann on The Drive today. Hope you're doing all right after a hot 4th of July yesterday. I know I was recovering from Dog Dazzle on Tuesday night. It was a great day of country music, some great fireworks here in the tri-state area on Tuesday. So I used yesterday to sleep up a little bit, especially because tonight we've got Pullman Square Summer Concert Series, the Dutch Miller Heiner's Bakery Summer Concert Series over there at Pullman Square tonight. Short and Company and the Dividends will be playing at Pullman Square. Music starts up at 7 tonight. So hopefully you'll see me down there. I'll be down there after we're done with the show tonight. It's a little bit warm. Had some thunder and lightning going off behind me before the show started. I know Gabriel, our producer, was looking in the window going, I hope it stays away. I'm thinking the same thing too, Gabriel, because going to be a great show tonight at Pullman Square for the Summer Concert Series. But with the 4th of July yesterday, had probably one of the biggest events of at least national holidays people get excited about over the summertime with 4th of July, the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest. And Joey Chestnut sets a record, 74 hot dogs down the gullet. That's a lot of hot dogs. I'm a big guy, but I don't think I could eat 74 hot dogs. I know he trains year-round to eat those 74 hot dogs, but I can't do it. I just can't. They actually had to go back and check. They got his number wrong originally. They unofficially counted 64 hot dogs, went back, checked the tapes, as it were, because that's something they do now in Major League Eating. They go back and check the tapes. Turns out he ate 10 more hot dogs. So we got a record 74, which is a really big news, too, because, not only did he eat 74 hot dogs, which makes some of you might make you sick to your stomach thinking, oh, my God, how he's going to eat 74 hot dogs. I could never do that. Again, I'm one of those people. But apparently, offshore sports books had taken more than $1 million in betting on whether or not Joey Chestnut would be able to get, I think it was under 71 hot dogs this year. And, from one instance, if you bet on him to go over, you were sitting there going, oh, man, I was close. I was really close. And then the next instance, after they recounted, you're like, oh, my goodness, I just won a bunch of money. And same for the same people who were like, oh, man, I just won a bunch of money. And then turns out you lost after they went back and reviewed the videotapes. But they're apparently going to look in Major League Eating. Rick Shea, the president of Major League Eating, which sanctions Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest, says that they are going to look to bring competitive eating into the digital age. They're not exactly sure how they're going to do that. I'm not exactly sure how you would do that, other than maybe weigh the plates, put X number of hot dogs per plate, and then you should know how many plates were there. I'm not really sure how you would go about doing it, because he kind of makes a joke, actually, saying that he doubts that they could put a microchip in on the tongue or in the esophagus to tabulate it. That does sound ridiculous, but who knows? Technology's come so far. You might actually get something like that eventually, where you literally just put a microchip in some sort of food and you got some sort of chip in your throat and it just counts as you go down. I think that would be a strange world to live in. Not really sure why you'd want to do that, but hey, again, whatever works for you doesn't work for everybody else. But you're seeing technology change a lot of things nowadays. It's changing the way that we watch sports, and apparently it's going to change the way that we competitively eat as well. Gabriel, what do you think about that? You think it's crazy, don't you? I think it's crazy. But hey, people like watching this stuff. People watch this stuff all the time. You've seen, because of technology, more and more food eating event competitions are being live streamed nowadays. So, hey, whatever works for you. If you want to try to get into competitive eating, you could try going for Joey Chestnut's record of 74 hot dogs. And it's not only that they got Joey Chestnut's number wrong too, Gabriel. Did you know that? Wasn't just him. Also got Carmen Sincotti wrong as well, and they were way more off on his. He unofficially came in at 45, finished with 64. So I'm saying you got a guy with 74 and a guy with 64. I don't understand how you could eat, maybe 10. Maybe 10 hot dogs. I did try to competitively eat one time a large pizza from Husson's Pizza. Came right out of the oven. It was a mistake to eat it right out of the oven because I burnt the top of my mouth. Tried to eat it in the same amount of time that Jacob Bertram, former cross-country runner at Cabell Midland, ran his mile time in. And he runs an absurdly fast mile time. I'm not exactly sure what it is off the top of my head now, but it's ridiculously fast. And I tried to eat a large pizza from Husson's in the same time that he runs a mile. Needless to say, I did not do it, but I tried. That's my only foray into competitive eating. And I think we're going to leave it at that. Unless, we get a mashed potato competition or something like that. Talk about potatoes or chicken. I'm in. Maybe chicken wings. I'm sure there's a chicken wing competition I could get into. But it's not about me. I don't like to throw myself out there. They just did it because they said free pizza. And I said, all right, I don't have anything better to do until I got to go to class. Not a bad way to live life, Gabriel. I think some people would like to live that life. Just walk into a room, somebody offers you free pizza before you go to class. Although it comes with a caveat that you've got to eat the whole thing in 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. Again, I'm not sure you want to do that, but whatever you want to do with your life. The reason I'm not talking a whole lot about sports right now is because it's post 4th of July. A lot of things are going off. It's a dead day for the most part in sports. Biggest thing going on today is going on down in the southern part of our state. The military tribute, or a military tribute, I should say, at the Greenbrier Classic. It's the last year that this event will be held the week of 4th of July, at least for now. It could potentially change later on down the road, but I think it's great that they're doing it as a military tribute at the Greenbrier Classic, especially since yesterday was 4th of July. It was part of the Pro-Am Day, so there were a lot of people down there taking in the Pro-Am, a lot of people down there today taking in the first round of the event, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Greenbrier Classic today coming up here later on in the show. So also mention a relatively dead day. Baseball, a lot of teams here in the area off today. The Indians, the Pirates, and the Reds all off today. So we'll get a little more into what's to come for those teams as we're a little more than halfway through the regular season at this point in time. So we'll have more on the Greenbrier Classic and on the first half of Major League Baseball when we come back here on The Drive on ESPN Radio 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Now, back to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
No Paul Swann today on your Thursday, July 5th. You're riding with Spanky Rogers here on The Drive. Happy to have you with me today. It's been a hot one here throughout the Tri-State the last couple of days. It's no change today. It's hot. It's 96 right now in Huntington. Thunderstorms are scattered throughout the area, but so far it is not canceled. Those thunderstorms are not canceling as of yet, from what I'm understanding. The Heiner's Bakery Dutch Miller Summer Concert Series at Pullman Square set to go on tonight. Short and Company and the Dividends from the stage. They're at Pullman Square. Again, music starts at 7, so hope you join us down there. Our sister station, 93.7 The Dogs Summer Concert Series at Pullman Square. I'll be making my way down there after the show today, so hope to see you there. Talking earlier about not a whole lot going on in the realm of sports today, unless you're a golf fan and unless you happen to have made the trip down to the southern part of the state to White Sulphur Springs. Check out the Greenbrier Classic this year, a military tribute at the Greenbrier Classic. And if you're a Herd fan, you've got a little bit more added interest in the golf tournament this year, as the Herd has 3 former golfers in this year's field: Davy Jude, Logan Lagodich, and Sam Odell. All 3 of them in the field of 139. Jude and Lagodich played here from 2012 to 2016. Odell from 97 to 2000. And Jude and Lagodich are making their PGA Tour debuts at Old White, but not their first trip to the Greenbrier to play at Old White. They were both part of Marshall teams that played at the Greenbrier during the college season. And then Sam Odell, no stranger to the Greenbrier, as he is a 4-time winner of the West Virginia Amateur and last played in 2015, back before the flooding in 2016 from the derecho in southern West Virginia canceled most of the, or canceled actually the entire tournament rather, and then they brought it back last year. So you've got Odell again, a 4-time West Virginia Amateur winner. Then Lagodich played in 40 tournaments for the Herd. He won 2 in his time here at Marshall and qualified for the Classic this year after he shot a 66th on June 28th and advanced to the qualifier. Then the Canton, Ohio native got another 66 to get into a playoff hole, and in that playoff hole he shot par to qualify for the tournament. Jude got a sponsor's exemption to play in this year's Greenbrier Classic after he was a runner-up in the West Virginia Open in July of last year. So, again, if you're a Herd fan, you've got some reason to be interested in the military tribute at the Greenbrier, again, or the Greenbrier Classic as it is more commonly referred to. And currently that is suspended, I'm more than assuming because of the rain down in the southern part of the state affecting play today. Several guys able to get in their full 18 holes today, but a lot of guys still going through the tournament. The leader currently, there's a tie at the top of the leaderboard for the military tribute at the Greenbrier, while Ken Neiman and Webb Simpson tied at 7 under par at the top of the leaderboard. And then Kelly Kraft coming in at a tie for 3rd with Wee Kim. Then Keegan Bradley rounds out the top 5 of players so far in the first round of the military tribute. And Webb Simpson and Wee Kim are still yet to finish their rounds today. Kim through 13, Simpson through 12. So if the rain decides to stop down in the southern part of the state, they very well could get their rounds finished in today or would have to start up tomorrow before round 2 starts. And that could potentially give them an advantage in round 2, knowing how the grass is playing there in the second round, getting out there in the early morning. But at the same time, you don't want to have to finish a couple of holes before going back out, because then you're going to be a little bit more tired and at the end of your round trying to finish things off. So that's where your leaderboard stands for the Greenbrier currently. Again, round 1 there suspended. Winner will get a nice paycheck, total purse of $7.3 million for this week's military tribute at the Greenbrier. So over from golf, we're going to switch our attention now to Major League Baseball. Again, a little more than halfway through the regular season, and the Cleveland Indians sit on top of the AL Central, really without much of a challenge from the rest of the division. The Detroit Tigers and Minnesota Twins, the 2 closest to the top, but both of them are 11.5 plus games back, with the White Sox at 18.5 and the Royals at 23.5 games back. Really, the most interesting division by far is the NL West. Top 4 teams out of the 5 in that division separated by just 4 games, and it's a half game separating the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers right now. Dodgers on a very hot streak, winning 4 straight games. Granted, only 6 of their last 10, but 4 straight, and that currently is tied for the 3rd longest streak in the league. Only 2 other teams with longer streaks are the Philadelphia Phillies and the Chicago Cubs, who currently hold the league's longest streak at 6 wins in a row right now. Cubs trying to take back the lead from the Brewers in the Central, and the two closer teams in the area outside of Cleveland, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, both of those two teams doing horrendously terribly in the bottom of the NL Central. Pittsburgh 11 games back of the Brewers. Cincinnati 13.5 games back. Best thing going for Cincinnati is Michael Lorenzen swinging the bat, which you don't hear too often as a pitcher swinging the bat too well, but he is doing extremely well for himself at the plate here in these last few times he stepped up, coming up with 2 pinch hit grand slams, his last one coming against the Brewers last Saturday. So Lorenzen has definitely shown he can swing away, and his pitching this year is doing pretty well as well for the Reds. He's gone 17 games, 26 innings, and has just over a 2 ERA. Like a little more strikeouts than he has compared to the walk numbers. Just 15 Ks to 11 walks, but Michael Lorenzen is one of the best things going for the Cincinnati Reds right now, and he doesn't pitch every day. So got to wonder what the Reds are going to potentially do here as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline, get closer and closer to the All-Star break, because things in Cincinnati are not going how fans expect them to, despite the Reds having just won their last game. Again, sitting 13.5 games out of the division lead in the NL Central. The Philadelphia Phillies are probably the most surprising team out of everybody to be doing this well this year, sitting at a game and a half back of the Atlanta Braves in the NL East. Phillies 47-37. I don't think a couple years ago, we'd be saying the Phillies would be this close to the top of the division, especially after that long drought of a postseason there in Philadelphia. But things seem to be going right in Philly nowadays, Gabriel. I don't know if it's something in the water there in Philly, but something seems to be working. You've got the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I think if the Sixers had beaten the Boston Celtics in the semifinals of the NBA playoffs, that the town would have gone even crazier, let alone if it had been able to somehow knock off Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals and get to the finals. But Phillies fans, I don't think they're throwing batteries anymore, because it's pretty good there in Philadelphia. Again, 47-37, second in the NL East. Just knocked off the Orioles the other day, 4-1. Got a really solid game out of the starter Aaron Nola. Struck out 9 in 7 innings. And the Phillies are doing it with a little bit of flavor, kind of like the Chicago Cubs did a few years ago, and that's something Jake Arrieta actually talked about the other day on Wednesday Night Baseball on ESPN, about how it's really kind of similar in the clubhouse among Philly and Chicago was back when he was there as part of the World Series in 2016. A lot of veteran presence on this team for Philadelphia with a lot of young and up-and-comers. So it says it's a nice mix in that clubhouse, and this is a Phillies team that you're definitely going to have to pay attention to, at least as things stand right now, moving on later on into the year. Again, just a game and a half back of Atlanta for the NL East lead. And I'm just really surprised with what Philadelphia has done. As a Cubs fan, I was disappointed that Chicago decided to let Jake Arrieta walk in free agency and instead signed Yu Darvish, especially considering that Jake Arrieta is pitching well for the Phillies this season. Has not gotten as many wins as he might have gotten possibly in Chicago because of the youth there with Philadelphia at the plate. He's just 5-6 on the season, has about a 3.5 ERA on the year. But the Phillies definitely can explode at almost any given time offensively, again, because a lot of that youth and then a lot of the veteran presence there in the locker room or in the clubhouse as well for the Phillies. So be interesting to see how Philadelphia does going forward the rest of the way. The Phillies, after having a great run in the mid-2000s, winning the World Series, going back to the World Series again in 2009 after winning it in 2008. It's been a while for Phillies fans to have something to cheer about during the summer when the Flyers and the Eagles aren't playing, and then when the Sixers are off now with the playoffs done. Phillies fans definitely will be paying attention closely for the rest of the season. I would expect Philly to be a big mover come the close of the trade deadline. I'm not sure what assets the Phillies might want to get rid of, but again, with a young team, you have a lot of teams calling from around the league, I'm sure, about a lot of that young talent. The question is what's the right move to bring in guys that you think can win you a championship right now, if that's the position you think you're in, or do the Phillies sit back and kind of wait around and not do anything and see if they try to keep this core intact and move forward with it as the year goes by, and then on into next year just to see how things work out, kind of like the Chicago Cubs did. The Cubs did make a couple of big moves here and there to try and go out and win a World Series before 2016, but ultimately decided to just sit back and let the cards fall and went on to win it all. So again, a lot of similarities there between the Phillies and the Cubs from a couple of years ago. The Phillies did it working through the draft class as well as the Cubs did, so should be interesting for Major League Baseball to see the Phillies back in a position to be competitive once more. Again, the thunderstorms in the area, a little scattered throughout, so not worried too much about rain for Pullman Square tonight. Down with the Shorten Company and the Dividends this evening. The two of them always put on a great show, have great following, so it should be a great show this evening down at Pullman Square for the Heiner's Bakery Dutch Miller Summer Concert Series at Pullman Square. Don't forget you can see Big John and crew from the morning show on 93.7 The Dog. Cecilia should be there as well from 97.9 The River. We're going to have a great time this evening. Again, a little warm today, but should be great this evening for some great live music. We're going to do right now is step aside for a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the NBA free agency stuff going on the last couple of days. That's when we come back here on The Drive on ESPN Radio 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Paul Swann has the wheel on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Still no Paul Swann. Spanky Rogers riding with you home on this Thursday, July 5th. Happy to have you with me. And it's been a hot day here in the tri-state area, but the heat's not going to keep us away. And I don't think these thunderstorms in the area are going to keep us away either from the Heiner's Bakery Dutch Miller Summer Concert Series at Pullman Square tonight. Shorten Company and the Dividends hit the stage at 7 o'clock this evening. Hope to see you down there. Should be a great day. Plenty of cold drinks down there. Some great food as well from some of our great vendors. So we hope that we see you down there later on this evening. So free agency officially for the NBA is in a whirlwind. Biggest free agent of the year is already off the table with LeBron James deciding to join the Los Angeles Lakers on a 4-year, $153.3 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. So if you're a Lakers fan, congratulations, I suppose. If you're a LeBron fan, congrats, you get to buy a new jersey again. This will be probably the 4th new jersey you've bought at least. Well, I guess it could be your 3rd if you didn't burn your Cleveland LeBron jersey the first time after he left to go to Miami. So, you might have only bought 3, but you're going to get to buy a new one. And he hasn't officially signed yet. Technically, he can't officially sign just yet with the Lakers. I don't believe that actually opens up until tomorrow to officially sign. But he's going to make one company spend a lot of money. And I'm not talking about the Lakers. One company is about to spend a lot of money on LeBron James jerseys. And that's probably the biggest retailer of jerseys in the entire country, Fanatics. When LeBron James decided he was going to LA, Fanatics put out pre-orders for Laker jerseys, and it gave Fanatics one of its top 10 sales days in terms of NBA gear sold. They have a placeholder of number 0, and about 40 minutes after they went on the site for sale, it was about 8:45, the news broke. After the news broke, about 40 minutes they went on sale. Allegedly, he's going to wear 23, which he wore at both of his stops in Cleveland, allegedly, but haven't had that confirmed just yet. Apparently, in the first 3 hours of the sale, Gabriel, there was a 600% spike compared to how his new Cavaliers jersey sold on the site the same day when he returned to Cleveland from Miami in July 2014. So people want LeBron jerseys, and I think they want it even more that now he's going to be a Los Angeles Laker. He's going to rock that purple and gold. I'm still a little upset that he can't just stay in Cleveland to win it all. I understand he's got a miffed relationship with the owner, Dan Gilbert. Maybe he wasn't too happy with how things panned out there at the end of the trade deadline of the regular season this year. But hey, I mean, he got to another consecutive NBA Finals. Granted, he got swept, but I mean, he at least got there. And now he's hoping that they can build something together out in L.A. He allegedly, all it took was a conversation with him and Magic Johnson. Just had to sit down, have a face-to-face, find out what the trust level factor was between the two of them, if they were really in to build something together. And apparently they seem to be on the same page. And because of that, again, LeBron James Laker jersey been selling out the window for the last about week or so now. Not quite week, but and if you bought a LeBron jersey for a Cavs LeBron jersey within the last 90 days, you can return it. Do you know about that? I bet you didn't. Although you may have if you bought a jersey. If you bought a LeBron jersey this late, say you bought one during the playoffs, you're saying, hey, I want to wear a LeBron jersey. I want to support LeBron and the Cavs on our finals run. You can return it to Fanatics. They're apparently going to give you 90 days to return a jersey. And it doesn't just have to be LeBron. It could be anybody. Any player that was on one team and then now within 90 days later of you buying that jersey is on a different team. Fanatics will ship you a new one, I guess, once you've probably shipped them the old one that you bought from them. But that's a pretty cool program. I know they're going to be spending a lot of money making new LeBron jerseys to replace the ones that they've sold within the last 90 days. Because I'm definitely be taking advantage of that. If I just spent it, $100 or whatever it is, $150 for a jersey, right before the playoffs started, and now less than 90 days later he's gone. He's going to the Lakers. Yeah, I would do that, unless I'm a diehard Cavs fan. If I'm a LeBron fan, Gabriel, I'm sending it back, aren't you? You're not a Cavs fan. You have no tie to the Cavaliers. You're just a LeBron fan. You sending it back, or are you going to keep it just as a memento of him being in Cleveland for the second time, or do you burn it? You look like a burn it guy. No, you're not burning it? Okay. You're going to keep it. All right, you're a memento guy. You want to cherish the memories of him bringing a championship back to Cleveland, right? Right? I mean, I feel like that's a reasonable thought. When he came back, he said he was going to bring a championship to Cleveland. He didn't make the promises like he made in Miami of not 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. But he said he's going to bring a championship back to Cleveland, and he did that. He held up his word. He brought a championship back to that city that hadn't had a championship in a long, long time in a lot of sports. So, I mean, he at least held up his end of the bargain, didn't just drop the ball and say, you know what, who cares? This is essentially my hometown, but yeah, whatever. I didn't win a championship. I said I was going to. At least he held up his end of the bargain. The thing I found the most interesting after the Lakers went out and signed LeBron is went out and made some big, I don't want to say big moves, but relatively medium-sized moves and other free agents to try and add some depth to the bench for LeBron. So he's not just playing with a bunch of young bucks and really not having any idea of what to do in the playoffs. Have re-signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope on a 1-year, $12 million deal, then went out and got the guy who blew in LeBron James's ear for a couple of games in the Eastern Conference playoffs, Lance Stevenson. Got him for a 1-year, $4.5 million deal, and then went out and got a guy from across the bay JaVale McGee leaving the Warriors to come to Los Angeles. What a lot of people say is the greatest basketball player to ever walk the face of the earth. I'm not one of those, but play with LeBron James on a 1-year deal. And doesn't quite say what McGee's contract is. More than likely is for the veteran minimum, as the Lakers spending that much money for LeBron James while also still trying to pursue Kawhi Leonard in a trade here in this offseason. Can't really go out and spend that much money on free agents to either re-sign their own free agents or to bring other players in-house. So that's why you're seeing 1-year deals for Caldwell Pope and Lance Stevenson, and then JaVale McGee as well. Just the league minimum for McGee. Not exactly sure the dollar figure on that. I think the league minimum has gone up with the salary cap increasing. But in addition to signing those 3 players, in addition to LeBron, the Lakers also have gone out reportedly and signed a 1-year deal with Rajon Rondo, who played against the Lakers when he was with the Boston Celtics in 2 NBA Finals, came away with a 1 Finals championship out of those 2 runs against the Lakers. But he now is joining Los Angeles. So it'll be interesting to see how LA puts these pieces together after letting go of Julius Randle. He's signed a 2-year deal with the New Orleans Pelicans, who needed a big man pretty desperately after DeMarcus Cousins has now decided to leave and join the Golden State Warriors. And he's signing a 1-year, $5.3 million deal. So the already defending champion Golden State Warriors getting better, going to add a 5th All-Star to their starting 5. This will be the 6th team in NBA history, according to the Elias Sports Bureau, 6th team in NBA history, this year's 2018-19 Warriors, to have 5 All-Stars from the previous season on one team. And it's the first one since the 1975-76 Boston Celtics, which was a pretty good team, pretty good. So this is a Warriors team that's already won 3 of the last 4, has won back-to-back titles, but is going to get that much better. And it actually works out for DeMarcus Cousins, too. He gets to go join a championship contender immediately. Honestly, I thought it was already on a championship contender with the New Orleans Pelicans, but he gets to leave immediately, is thrusted into the spotlight, even bigger than he was, drawing the attention in New Orleans with Golden State now. It just adds to the firepower that the Warriors have. Steph Curry actually jokingly tweeted and said, "The third splash, brother, let's go," and then at Boogie Cousins. I think it's going to be interesting to see the mix of him, Draymond Green, KD, Steph, and Clay. And the Warriors get a little bit of flexibility with him because it's only a 1-year deal. Gives Cousins the option to show that he's recovered from his torn left Achilles that he suffered earlier in the year. And can let him try to add some air back into his tire for his 2019 roll down the hill at free agency, where you could make even more money if he has a heck of a season this year for the Warriors on a much reduced salary. So interesting to see how DeMarcus Cousins pans out in Golden State. And another great thing I like, 1-year deals all around the league this year. In the offseason this year, a lot of teams gearing up for next year's free agent class, which is already going to be pretty big, but a lot of guys are putting themselves in that free agency class discussion as well. Like I've already mentioned, DeMarcus Cousins and Derrick Rose going to go back to Minnesota with a 1-year deal. I like seeing him go back to the Timberwolves after having some issue there with Cleveland and then getting traded to the Utah Jazz after he got waived by the Jazz, signed with Minnesota in March, and he only played 9 games. But he was effective in those 9 games, had about 6 points per game, and had about 12 minutes per contest as well. But then in the playoffs, stepped up really big in the first round against the Rockets, despite getting taken out of the series by Houston. Had Derrick Rose finish with about 14 points per game, just under 3 assists per contest, and played a lot more minutes in the first round of those playoffs, with the experience that he had there in Chicago coming over to Minnesota. Great to see him bounce back from the knee injury and then from just the personal issues he was dealing with there in Cleveland during the beginning of the year. Seems like him and Tom Thibodeau seem to be on the same page, and I'm glad to see Derrick Rose get another shot there in Minnesota because he definitely deserves it. And one final guy for NBA signing a one-year deal, jumping ship from the Clippers. He'll head down to the Lone Star State now and play with Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks. And he's signing a ridiculous contract for 1 year, too, $24.1 million. So DeAndre Jordan, or actually I think it's just $24 million, close to the player option he declined with the Clippers. He'll be able to sign that officially tomorrow when the moratorium period ends. But the Mavericks getting better. Add a nice threat inside to point guard Dennis Smith Jr., who has been an electrifying player, and he just got into the NBA this past season. So really excited to see what the Mavericks do, bringing DeAndre Jordan in to play down low with Dirk Nowitzki as he gets older and isn't quite as effective. But it's time for us to hit our last break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up here on The Drive on ESPN Radio 94.1 FM and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Paul Swann out today, and he'll be out tomorrow as well. Spanky Rogers filling in for him today. He'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow, I should say. Hope that you join us for tomorrow's show as we get ready for the weekend after a hot 4th of July yesterday. And like I mentioned, no Pirates or Reds baseball tonight. Indians also on a break as well. We'll have all three of those teams in action tomorrow. In the afternoon, the Reds and the Cubs will do battle at Wrigley Field. 2:21 pitch there in Chicago. Got Tyler Mahle versus Mike Montgomery. Then it's an inner Pennsylvania matchup. The Phillies traveling to Pittsburgh, 7:05 first pitch from PNC Park. So we'll have that contest for you here on ESPN Radio 94.1 FM and AM 930. It'll be Nick Pivetta for the Phillies against Trevor Williams for the Pirates. And then Cleveland starts at 7:10 tomorrow night in Cleveland, taking on the Oakland Athletics. Paul Blackburn against Carlos Carrasco for the Indians. That does it for today's show. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, if you want to wake up, you got soccer action. World Cup continues tomorrow, 10 a.m., Uruguay and France doing battle, and then Brazil takes on 2 o'clock. So World Cup gets going back again. Don't forget, tonight, summer concert series down at Pullman Square. The Heiners Bakery Dutch Miller summer concert series at Pullman Square tonight starts at 7. Short & Company and the Dividends down there. I'll be there. Hope to see you there. For Gabriel Sellards, our producer, Spanky Rogers, thanks for listening. Talk to you tomorrow.
Huntington, W227BS Huntington, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Huntington Sports Station.